So tell us a bit about your your job and what it involves, please.
So at the moment, I work as a data migration specialist, and it's basically data migration in very simple words, taking data from a source system and pushing it into a target system, simply.
And so, what sort of data might you be migrating? What is it? Who are you doing it for? Is it for clients, different clients each time?
Yes, so with what I do, we could migrate data from various sources, but it is usually from recruitment agencies. From one CRM into another CRM. So from it could be coming from CRM A, and then we push it into the targets, the new system that they're going into. So mainly is HR data, but we sometimes, not very often, could be working with other types of data, but it's usually recruitment data.
And is it generally from one SQL source to another SQL destination, or could it be in any format?
It could be in any format.
Right.
Could be in any format. So it could be sometimes it comes in CSV files, JSON files, SQL backup files. So it could literally be in any format.
Right. And do you find yourself doing a lot of data cleaning on that data to try and mold it into the format for the new system?
Not cleaning. The cleaning is should be only requested because with data migration, getting the full data from the source into the target is very critical because you can't just clean something from the client's data. So it's more of transformation and mapping. And so how data would be in one CRM would be very different from the target. So basically it will be mapping if it's one, let it be this, or if it's that, let it be that. Basically, that's what we do.
Okay. And do you do all that? Do you do all that using SQL?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, what other sort of technologies and technical skills do you use in your role?
In my role, you only, not only, but for technical skills, you need SQL,
Mhm.
and Python could be an advantage, but we mainly work in T-SQL scripts. But you'd also need domain knowledge in HR and recruitment. So that's very helpful, the domain knowledge, and then SQL.
Yeah. Okay. So SQL is the main thing then.
Yes,
Um,
fortunately.
yeah. So, excuse me. So, what would a typical day look like if there's such a thing as a typical day? Is there a typical day? Or
Yes. So a typical day for working as a data migration specialist is if you've already gotten the source data, you've already restored it, and now you have it in your SQL environment, T-SQL. It's so typical day you're working through say 10 to 15,000 lines of code. So um, getting data into, so we first push data into the middle tier before it's going into the targets. That's where we do all the transformation. So it will be basically using case statements, pivots on aggregations, and a whole lot of SQL functions to transform your data. So that's a typical day writing SQL code.
right? Okay. So you're up to your elbows in SQL from start to finish.
Yes.
Pretty much. Sounds good. So what do you think are the biggest challenges you face doing your job?
My biggest challenge was understanding the front end and also understanding terminologies in HR and recruitment.
Right.
I think it's very essential if probably someone has the technical skills, but you find yourself working in maybe healthcare and you know nothing about healthcare. Sometimes it could be a bit challenging understanding what exactly is the objective and the goal from the terminologies they're using. So it was yeah, the challenge was understanding what they want to see in the front end and some of the terminologies you see in the data. Thankfully now I've gotten my head around it, so that's that challenge has been overcome right now. And also, yeah, I think those two were my main challenges.
Okay. So if you had to talk about the life cycle of a data migration project, you've kind of mentioned it, but could you sort of go through the specific stages of what that involves?
A typical data migration project could take anywhere from 4 weeks to I think 6 months, could even take longer.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's different teams. So in the beginning, probably getting the client to sign a contract, say we're moving into our client's target system. And then if everything is done at that point, you get the source data, and based on however format is in, you get the data into your working environment. And that is where you do the transformation and moving data into the middle tier, then finally from the middle tier into the target. That takes quite some time because typically, I mentioned earlier, you're working with over 15,000 lines of code. And you also need careful attention to detail because there's certain things that can be overlooked when it comes to data migration. And so usually we get different versions to the client. So they review their data. Is this what it looked like in the source? Is this what you wanted to look like in the target? And then they come up with reviews, and then you make certain changes. So this could go on for a couple of weeks, and then for when it's done on the back end using SQL, the implementation managers do the front end stuff, and the project ends.
Okay, so you sort of touched on it then, but who else is involved in a typical project? How many people is there in a team?
In a typical project, there's the data migration specialist, the team that works with the SQL code. There's the implementation managers, those that would work in the front end, and there's the project managers that will work with the client, giving us feedback in terms of so when we push out a version 1 or version 2, they come back with the feedback and they talk to the client and do all the client communication. So these will be the 3 roles that mainly work with the data migration.
Right, very good. So jumping back into the actual technical SQL, what are the sort of most common commands and bits of SQL syntax that you find yourself using?
That's interesting because we basically use everything. Wow. So from case statements to aggregations to variables to stored procedures, everything in SQL, pivots and non-pivots, even the ones that are not very common, outer joins, full joins, everything. Yeah.
And CTEs, temp tables, do you use those?
Yes, temp tables a lot. Sometimes you'd have to aggregate data, strings of data, and you can't do that in the main table, so you have to use a temp table first to push it into what you want the target to look like. You'd use a lot of CTEs. You use a lot of window functions to get your data, maybe remove duplicates and get unique IDs as well. So yeah, we use every aspect of SQL, I'll say.
Good. So you seem quite positive. Are you enjoying your job? Did you like it?
Yes, I do like it. I think the team is amazing, and the fact that I get to use SQL every day is brilliant because I've invested time and money in SQL and I get to use it every day. So it's like every day keep learning your skills, improving your skills, I mean.
And do you work remote on site, or is it a hybrid?
It's fully remote. Yeah, I think what I've noticed about most of the data migration jobs is they're mostly very remote because I think that would be the downside of it, the fact that it's very back end and you're always staring at code. So yeah.
Yeah. So do you get to meet your colleagues from time to time?
A site team meeting and probably end of year parties.
Right.
Not really, but you
Right.
get to talk to them every day.
Right. Okay. Good. And would you recommend it to somebody with decent SQL skills looking for a career into something SQL related?
Yes, yes. So if you want to go into, if you're learning SQL to work with SQL, data migration would probably be like a very suitable role for you.
It's a question I get asked a lot because most of the people who come on the program want to be data analysts. So they're talking about Power BI and
Yeah,
Tableau and all this sort of thing. And some people do say, what jobs are they? Just SQL. And it's always quite difficult to give an answer, but well, I've got one now.
yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, brilliant that. Thank you for that. And I
You're
shall
welcome.
add that to the program and give our students a bit of an insight into a potential career path. So thank you very much, and
Oh,
I'll see you soon.
okay. Okay.